Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics video on the channel. It is Thursday and it is time for captains ahead of round 7, Anzac round, one of my favourite rounds of the year. So looking forward to it. Hopefully we can all smash out a good captain score this week and hopefully I can actually smash in a good score because I've been crap to start the season. So hopefully we go well, but captains is the only thing keeping me afloat. So hopefully we can continue on a decent stretch of captains and pick someone good for you this week. So let's go through and start off my top 10. And coming in at number 1, I've got Lachie Whitfield, obviously man in big form at the moment. Coming up against the Dogs, I love this for a number of reasons at number 1. So first thing is his record against Bulldogs is fantastic. So his last 5 against the Dogs, 4 of his last 5, he's gone over 120. 3 of those over 130. So 147, 100, 134, 130, 121. Outrageous history against the Dogs in his last few. Obviously, Dogs are decent. They're middle of the pack this year for defenders, but we know that they can leak points to defenders. But it's more the fact as well that Lachie Whitfield obviously is one of the informed players in AFL Fantasy. So removing Bont and Wright, who've only played the one game, he's the highest averaging player, averaging 116.3, 143 last week. Before that, 86, 139, 120, 111, 99. So obviously the 86 against the Saints wasn't great at Norwood, but besides that, it's gone over 99 every game, including every other game besides that 90 over 111. So great form. Dogs, good matchup for him. Good history. He is my number 1 for the week. Coming in number 2, I've got Max Gawn. If it wasn't for the 5-day break, I probably would have him number 1. But the 5-day break's the one thing that just gives me a little bit of pause. But he's up against Richmond, obviously, later on tonight. His recent history against them is pretty good. 134, 131 in his last 2. 96, 119, 107 before that. But his last 2 games, obviously, he's back in a little bit of form. He's big Max Gawn. Obviously, 125 last week, 118 the week before. So he's going pretty well and looks to be in some decent nick again. So just the 5-day break's the only concern for me. That's why he's bumped down 1 spot. But Richmond, obviously, we know they give up points to Rucks, and I think Gawn can cash in here. So I've got him at number 2. He's a great VC, right? He plays tonight, first game of the round. Chuck the VC on him, and you can chuck your captain on a Whitfield or someone else in this list if you don't have a Whitfield. Coming in number 3, I've got the Adelaide captain, Jordan Dawson, against Freo on Friday night over at Optus. So scored 100 and 122 in his last 2 against Freo. But he's just been informed. So Freo, middle of the pack for Rucks so far. Not Rucks, for mids this year. But with Jordan Dawson, the thing I like about him, right? So he's had the 2 scores below 100, 85 and 92 in rounds 3 and 5. But outside of that, when he goes over the ton, he's gone really well. So every ton he's got this year over 118. So 126, 134, 118, 123. He's 2 scores away from home this year, a 134 against Essendon and a 118 against Gold Coast. So can go really well, home or away, doesn't matter. I think Freo will be a good matchup for Dawson. Optus, good ground, wide open spaces. I think Dawson will get some marks, get his tackles, get his touches, and put up a pretty good score. So he's my number 3 for the week and a good VC shout as well as he plays early in the round. Coming at number 4, so a bit of an amendment to what I made to my original list. I've got Connor Rozee at number 4. So he was number 5 before, but he's now number 4. History against North isn't great. So 43 last year when he was injured, shouldn't have played. 79-92. But this half-back role I like. So North Melbourne, I'm just having a look. So what are North Melbourne for defenders? That is the question I'm keen to know the answer to. So North for defenders, 5th easiest matchup. They're just behind Adelaide and West Coast. And he's gone 126, 101 his last 2. That 101 was with the Jordan tag. And Sydney, again, aren't too great. They're sort of in the middle, but more closer to the bottom for defenders there this season. So he's still turned up in a tougher matchup, even with a tag. I think North Melbourne, I can't see who would really go to him. And if you tag Rozee, then you're leaving Butters free. So that's the thing. Like Butters is dominating as well. Ivan Horn-Francis is playing well. So I don't think they're going to tag Rozee. They might, but I still like his chances to go pretty well against North Melbourne. So I've got him at number 4. And the slight amendment I made was just a swap of 4 and 5. So I got Nick Dacos at number 5. I have to leave him in the top 5, right? So like he's 102, 98, 140 his last 3 against Essendon, but it's his recent form and what he's doing at the moment. So 3 of his last 4 he's gone over 130, 136, 76, 136, 131 in his last 4, and they've come against Sydney and Brisbane, who are really tough matchups. The reason he's down the list, so normally if this was against, if it's against Essendon, right? Obviously on Anzac Day, but if this was in better conditions and it wasn't going to be as wet, he would definitely be high on this. He'd probably be number 3, to be honest, if it was better conditions. He's just bumped down the list just because it's going to be wet. So it could be a lot of handballs and some tackles probably, but not as many marks. And he will get tension from a Setterfield or a Durham or something like that. But that's the only reason I got him down the list slightly, is just the weather and the potential tag there. But potential tag I'm not worried about. He's been tagged and he still gets good scores. So he's just down the list slightly, but I still like Dacos's chances this week to put out another good score. Again, another good VC shout. Three of these guys play Thursday or Friday. Whitfield Saturday night, and Rosie is the middle game on the Saturday. Yeah, so the 4:15 Eastern time game on the Saturday. So they're my top 5, 6 through 10. Got Zach Merritt in at number 6. Really good history against Collingwood. Last 4 games against him, he's gone over 120. So 120, 123, 146, 121. Really good form against them. Collingwood, good matchup. Again, he's just not in the top 5 just because of the wet weather. Probably going to limit some ceiling scores. I could see him getting there with tackles, but not as many marks. Still get a bit of the ball. Just don't know if that massive score is going to be there just with the wet weather. So he's at number 6. Got John Newcomb at number 7. So he's gone 99, 113 and 90 against West Coast in his career. So not too bad there. His form back-to-back 118s. West Coast, a good matchup for mids. I think they're in sort of the top couple for points against. So, the third easiest matchup for mids so far this season. So I think he'll go quite well. He's at number 7. Just don't have him high up the list just because I think a game like this means that he might not actually go as big as what some people think. I could see him just take a bit easier against West Coast. But I guess we'll see. I think he could still smash out a good score. So that's why he's number 7. Number 8, I've got Zach Butters against North. So history against North Melbourne isn't great. 86, 118 and 84. But I think he's starting to warm up, starting to get going, and with Rosie playing, the attention could go Rosie's way instead of Butters. But so what did Butters go last week? So he went 114, then 105, and then 94. So obviously working his way into the season. I think he'll go well back at home against North Melbourne. Could be a good score coming for Zach Butters. Number 9, I've got Josh Dunkley. Just down the list because his last couple, he's gone, 98, 97. So hasn't turned up in his last 2. I think he'll get back to turning up here, though. Saints, obviously, we saw what they gave up to the Dogs last week. They gave up a heap of scores. And his history against St Kilda, not great. 83, 87, and 78, then a 120. So, 3 of his last 4, he hasn't turned up against the Saints, but averaging 110 for the year. I think he's going to bounce back. Brisbane will bounce back, I'm sure, after a poor performance against Collingwood. I think Dunkley will be a part of that. I think Windhager will go to Lachie Neale, freeing up Dunkley to get a bit more ball. And I think he'll go quite well. Just down the list, though, just with recent form. But he's a solid option if you've got him there. And I've got Andrew Brayshaw rounding out the list at number 10. So he's down the list on the Captain's Challenge here. 84, 108, 120, 111, and a 106 in 2020 is his recent history against the Crows. So that 106 was more like a 130 score. But again, his form was pretty good. 110, 119, 123, 106 in his last 4. They have all been pretty good matchups, so to be fair as well. Crows are sort of, again, middle of the pack for mids against there. So pretty close to Freo there. So I do think Brayshaw will go pretty well. And he's my number 10 option for the week. So I just feel that coming there. So yeah, guys that aren't in the top 10, though, just outside, or just sort of mentioned there. So the Bont, I've got him out. Giants, tough matchup as it is. They are the toughest matchup for mids this season. Could potentially get a tag there. Darcy out. Does he play more forward? So he's not in the top 10. I'm not looking at him this week if you've got him. George Hill could be good. Geelong, obviously a solid matchup for midfielders there. I think he could be pretty good. If you've got him, he'd be a captain option. I'm just not sure. I don't know if I could. Maybe it's just the bias of not having Hewitt. But if you've got him, could be a captain option later in the round, just not in my top 10 this week. Bailey Smith against Carlton could cop some attention. Carlton are the 5th hardest matchup for mids this season. So that's why he's not in the top 10. Just don't love the matchup this week. But I wouldn't be shocked if he went pretty well against them on Sunday. Zorko, he's the one in the list that I don't have that could go big. His last 3 have been poor, all under a ton, including a couple of scores under 80. But Brisbane will bounce back. Zorko is a great VC shout this week. He's not in my top 10, but I actually like him as a VC shout if you've got him. Saints get up points defenders. I think he's going to bounce back. I think Brisbane will bounce back. He's just not in the top 10 because of recent form. And maybe like a Jasper Fletcher is he's starting to eat into some of Zorko's points. That's why he's not in the top 10, but I still like him as a VC this week. Not as a captain though, but as a VC I like him. Dust Cameron could be good against Essendon. Obviously Goldstein will come in for them. Dust Cameron's been great this year. Wet weather, could get a lot of hit outs. But yeah, just not in my top 10 this week. She's against Port. Port's a tough matchup, and who knows what role She's going to play. If he plays off halfback, could go okay, but just not in the top 10 with the matchup this week. De Koning's not there, just his form hasn't been great, so that's why he's not in there, but I'm hoping he goes pretty well this week. And then Petrarca, Taranto, Oliver. They could all be pretty good VC shouts tonight. Petrarca probably got the biggest ceiling out of them. I think he could go quite well. Oliver as well. I think both will ton up. I think all three will probably ton up, to be fair. Just depends. Petrarca hasn't gone over 110 this year. Oliver has, but 114 is his season high score. So can they go that 120? That's the only reason they're not in the top 10 is just this year they haven't shown a ceiling. But if there's ever a game they're going to, it could be against Richmond on Anzac Eve, obviously tonight. So I think both could go well. Could be good VC shouts. I just don't have them in my top 10, but solid VCs. And Taranto, season I scored 120 last week. We know he's got the ceiling in him. Just in the Richmond team, can he go big? So yeah, and does Viney maybe stand next to him after a good game from Taranto last week? So they're just not in my top 10, but I don't mind any of them as a VC. Tom Green against the Dogs, I don't mind as well. Dogs are okay for mids, middle of the road as well. And Tom Green, I think he put up a 170 a couple of years ago against the Dogs at Manuka. So if he could do something like that, that'd be huge. Just don't have him in the top 10. Just his ceiling's not there with all those handballs and not many marks or tackles. But this could be the week where he does go quite well. Horn Francis is, I don't know if I'd look at him as a captain option necessarily. And I think there are just better options this week. Noah Anderson could cop some attention from a Jordan. It is back at home though, which is good. But Sydney are a tougher matchup for mids anyway. Or they're actually in the top sort of half for there. They're actually they're the sixth easiest matchup for mids. So if he doesn't cop attention, could go quite well. I just think maybe Jordan, does he go to Rowell or does he go to Anderson? So that probably depends. That's my only reason I'm not going towards Anderson this week. Sarong doesn't have the ceiling, but could go okay. Walsh against Geelong. Geelong's obviously a decent matchup, but Walsh obviously dropped an 80, but could go quite well. And I'm not looking at any of these guys really here as an option. I'm hoping Cherry can bounce back, back up his good performance last week and go again. But probably not looking at him this week with Port being a tough matchup for Rucks this season. So in terms of what I'm doing this week, I'm using my number 3 and 4 option. So I'm going Dawson VC into Connor Rozee as my captain against North there. So a bit nervous not having Whitfield or Gawn this week. Think both could go quite well. But that is my top 5. And they are my plans for this week. But let me know in the comments below what you guys are doing with your VC and your C this week. Be interested to see what you guys are doing. Any questions regarding captains, vice captains, or anything else, put it in the comments below and I'll get to those when I can. No watch long tonight. I'm going for dinner for my birthday. So yeah, no watch long tonight as I won't be at home. And then tomorrow be pretty tricky. I don't think I'll be doing a watch long either with the Crows playing and being my birthday. So, and I'm not just saying that just to reiterate my birthday. I'm just saying that because of birthday commitments, I just think it'd be a bit tough to do a watch long for the next 2 days. But hopefully I'll be back on Saturday night for the Giants and the Bulldogs game at Manuka Oval. We'll be doing a watch along for that. So first one in a couple of weeks, which would be nice. I want to get at least one in for you guys this week after a couple of weeks we gather around and being ill. We hopefully back for a watch on Saturday night. So looking forward to that. And I'm not sure about the pre-lockout chat either on Friday, just being on Anzac Day. So, but we'll see how we go. We'll let people know if we do one or not. But good luck this week, guys. Hopefully, you guys smash out a good score. Hopefully, your captain goes big as well, or your VC does, so you can lock that away. Good luck this week. And if we don't do the pre-lockout chat, we'll chat to you guys on either the watch along or Sunday night for our round review. So thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you guys then. Thanks, everyone. See ya.